Hey folks, I'm Michael and welcome back to the channel. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for your daily dose of awful stories. Let's dive into the first post made in the True Off My Chest subreddit. The post is titled, "I am being blackmailed for cheating on my wife." A bit of background, my wife is incredible, amazing, brilliant, and the love of my life. We, both 33, own a company together that does financial work, keeping it vague, and it has been very successful. We are not publicly in a relationship, we do not talk about our marriage, and we do not have public social media that discloses our relationship. All this is to say, to the public eye, my wife and I are business partners, unmarried, and each with our own separate marriages. My wife goes by her middle name and maiden name for work, and by her legal name when dealing with personal matters. Say her name is Jane Mary Doe, née Fish. She goes by Jane Doe when not at work and Mary Fish at work. Now, full disclosure, I did not cheat on my wife. We were at a work function and kissed briefly when arriving in the car, and apparently someone saw it. I woke up this morning to an email addressed to me saying that if I do not want my wife, Jane Doe, finding out I am cheating on her with my business partner, Mary Fish, then I am to pay them off with an amount I will not list here. But it is quite a sum. They included photos of me and Mary together and then, and this is the best part, sent a link to Jane's Facebook page where she notoriously does not post her own face anywhere. Maybe the title should have been, "I am being blackmailed for cheating on my wife with my wife." I am both amused and horrified. Thanks for listening. My wife has not stopped laughing long enough to commiserate with me yet, and I needed an ear. I just needed to get this out. OP's story is hilarious in that this can't be real kind of way. The fact that someone thought they uncovered a scandal when it's literally just a husband kissing his own wife is pure irony. But underneath that humor, it's wild how easily people assume they've got dirt based on appearances. OP's just living that double life grind for the sake of the business image. And it backfired in the funniest way possible. The blackmailer really thought they hit the jackpot, but all they did was expose how little they actually knew. OP doesn't even need to explain himself. He just needs to frame the email and hang it in the office as a reminder that clowns will always reveal themselves. The second story for today was made in the relationship subreddit. The post is titled, "My friends don't want to be around my husband. How do I handle this?" Recently, my mother-in-law was in town, so I reached out to my best friend, 36F, to make plans. I suggested a game night at my house since I love games and trivia and thought it would be fun with a group. She said she was down to hang out, but it would just be her, not her husband, and she wouldn't invite any of her friends. When I asked why, she was honest. She said her friends and husband don't feel comfortable around my husband. At her Friendsgiving, my husband apparently talked badly about her friends to her husband, and after we left, several people commented on how uncomfortable he made them and that they felt bad for me. One thing she mentioned really stuck with me. At the party, I was basically asking my husband to play a game with me. He refused, which wasn't surprising to me because he never plays games with me and thinks they're immature. But she said the way it came across to others felt awkward, like he couldn't do one small thing to make me happy, and people were watching and uncomfortable. This was hard to hear because my husband is usually social and has a lot of friends. When we're around people who aren't his friends, he usually keeps to himself, so I didn't realize how it looked. My friend also said this isn't a one-time thing and that she's noticed him talking over me or shutting me down over the years but didn't want to interfere. At home, if I disagree with him, things can shut down fast, and it often feels like his way or the highway. We've been in couples counseling on and off and we're back in it now. I'm also in individual therapy. I love my husband and it hurts that people in my life don't want to be around him. I don't know how to bring this up without him getting defensive or asking me not to see my friend anymore. Edit. Thank you all for the validating and thoughtful responses. I want to clarify that I try to provide more detailed context when posting, but several of my longer attempts were flagged or removed, so I kept this version brief. I am in individual counseling, and when I brought this situation up in session today without showing the post, my therapist independently agreed with many of the points raised here. We also discussed boundaries I plan to communicate in upcoming couples counseling. I still struggle with doubting my own judgment, even with outside validation, but I truly appreciate the support. I'll respond to some specific questions in the comments later tonight. I hope this edit keeps the post available. Also, since it's been locked and I can't comment back, the game night I planned at my house would have been without him. He had other plans. I specifically made sure of that and took the opportunity since he would be doing his own thing. Either way, she didn't feel comfortable inviting her friends or her husband in case he decided to stay home or his plans were canceled. My mother-in-law is great and super easygoing, and our house has a lot of space where she could stay in her own section if she wanted to. Inevitable Lopside said, "If this is how you think he will react, how do you see this ever improving?" To this, Owine said, "Her interests are immature. He talks badly about her friends. He talks over her or shuts her down. At home, he makes it feel like it's his way or the highway. If she brings up the issue, she expects him to get defensive or demand that she isolate herself from her friends. This man absolutely does not respect OP at all, and I really question whether he even likes her." This third and final story was made in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled AITA for playing a voice recording to prove to my friend her daughter isn't nonverbal. So I, 30F, have a friend, 34F, who has a nonverbal daughter, 3F. Let's call her Allie. I watch her 4 days a week in my in-home daycare. I require contracts for every child, and she never filled out the special needs section. At no point when she asked me to take Allie did she mention any speech delay or non-speaking issue. Although Allie didn't speak much at first, I figured she was shy. She communicated her needs to me very well and said small things to me frequently. Last month I was in the bathroom. I keep the door barely cracked with a wedge so I can listen for any dangers and they can't walk in on me or see me. She walked by and said, "You're stinky." I laughed and told her mom at pickup what she said, and I was met with, "She isn't verbal. Why would you mock her?" I reassured her that Allie had spoken to me quite a few times and that I thought it was a huge milestone from when she first arrived and barely said anything. She told me she didn't believe me and that it was messed up to make up something like that to upset her. I told her I wasn't trying to upset her, but I wasn't lying either. I didn't press the issue further. Here's where I might be the jerk. I decided to record Allie, just a voice recording, not her face, telling me her name and what her favorite animal is. I fully intended to show her mom the recording, but I was hesitant at first because of her earlier blow-up and I didn't know how she would react. After a few short pickups and drop-offs, she told me it was water under the bridge and that she didn't want to talk about it anymore. She even insisted that I attend the birthday party. After that, I was just happy Allie could continue coming, and I ended up forgetting I had the recording at all. Fast forward to Friday, about a month later. She had a birthday party for her other child. At the party, I was socializing with family members. Honestly, I was a total idiot for forgetting that her family fully believed she was nonverbal. I mentioned the funny things Allie had said to me while we were reading an animal book. It turns out the person I was talking to was her sister, and she started yelling at me, saying, "She is nonverbal. Why are you lying?" Both she and my friend started berating me, saying that it was messed up to make this up about Allie being verbal. At this point, I was tired of being called a liar. I have 2 disabled children, and my son was nonverbal for many years. I would never lie about something like this. So while everyone was staring at me, I felt scared and backed into a corner. Remembering I had the recording, I decided to prove my point and played the voice recording. Everyone was shocked and my friend told me to leave. I told her I didn't want to cause issues, but that I wasn't going to be berated and called a liar. She said I crossed a line by recording her daughter and that I was a jerk for embarrassing her at the party. Now I feel horrible and wonder if I should have just let it go. Edit for clarification and extra context. Whenever she dropped off or picked up Allie, she didn't ask much beyond how was her nap, how much did she eat. I would hand her the daily report and she would leave without staying for small talk, even when I tried to initiate. I know people have busy lives, so I wasn't going to push her to talk. I also didn't record Allie to embarrass her mom in any way. I didn't mean it as vindication. I admit I should have shown her the recording immediately after making it, but I'm human and I was afraid of another blow-up. When she later said everything was water under the bridge, I was just relieved she wasn't going to pull Allie out. So I put it in the back of my mind and forgot about it. I feel bad about how I defended myself, hence the post. I know it was unprofessional and unethical. I apologize profusely to everyone at the party and to the family as well. I'll be installing cameras in my home that all parents will have access to and updating all contracts to inform parents of the policy going forward. peace of mind for everyone sounds good to me. I also plan to contact Child Protective Services about the situation and see what they have to say. Thank you all for your kind words. Fun Effective said, I can't imagine what this child is going through, being treated as if she's completely nonverbal when that's not the case. In fact, I can't help but wonder if the way her mother reacts might play a part in why she isn't verbal around her. That being said, you did the right thing in trying to bring this to the mother's attention in a polite and calm manner. Her reaction was unreasonably abrasive, as any parent of a nonverbal child would be overjoyed to hear that their child is beginning to make progress. I don't think recording the child's voice was wrong. You weren't posting it all over the internet, you weren't going behind the mother's back and showing people the recording, and you only did it after she accused you of lying, which wasn't the case. You recorded the voice specifically to update the mother on her daughter's progress, as that information is important. I would normally say it might have been better to ask permission to record the child's voice, but judging by the way you described the mother, that probably would have just led to more conflict in the first place. Edit to add, she embarrassed you at the party, not the other way around. It's not your fault she feels embarrassed for not knowing her own child better.